morning. Happy Veterans Day. I want to thank Mr. Ponce, Mr. Gonzalez, the Veterans Commission, and Mayor Len Pagano for inviting me to speak today, as it's an honor and privilege. I know it's cold and windy, and you don't want to sit there all day, so I'll try to keep it short. My name is First Sergeant Sean Tobias Ambriz, and I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I've served in the Army for the past 13 years as a military police officer, medic, and designated squad marksman, while serving 2 years in Afghanistan's Kunar province from 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2012. Days like today provides me time to stop and reflect my time in service, those I've met along the way, and the events of the war as they unfolded for me. For me, when I think of Veterans Day, I think about those who came before me, who paved the asphalt of sacrifice through their endeavors so that when my time came to go to war, I could apply what I had learned to my scenario and be successful in combat. As many veterans carry heavy burdens of experience, I'm here to share two of my own with you today, and I apologize that some of it is a little graphic. As a young private in Afghanistan in 2009, I found myself on the prelude of the deadliest battle in the war, the Battle of Kamdesh, in which 300 to 400 Taliban fighters would eventually overrun Kop Keating. Those same enemy fighters who were moving into position would use us as target practice for their assault 30 days prior. On the morning of September 10th, our squad was activated for a medevac to help others from our unit off a mountain who were cut off by a singular sniper. I watched as my team leaders all volunteered to go up the mountain and walk into the unknown, which gave me the courage to volunteer and go up as their medic. As we dodged sniper rounds for 200 meters to where the cut-off Americans should have been, the broken radio communications from the Hindu Kush Mountains, which inclined high around us, cleared up, and we were notified that 200 was wrongly transmitted on the radio when actually it was 2,000 meters. With no water, no food, my leaders kept a stern face and tackled the next obstacle. Maneuvering around a sniper above us, as well as enemy fighters in bin Laden's safe house to our rear in Saw Valley, brought a slow-moving and tedious progress. Once parallel with the casualties, we can now see my Lieutenant Tyler Parton, 175 meters in the open, dead. Multiple others were wounded, pinned down against rocks. Little did we know that it was not a singular sniper. We had 3 snipers covering every angle, as well as 100 plus enemy fighters maneuvering around us, hoping that now our rescue team would need a rescue team. With air support and heavy smoke missions, we were able to run towards the snipers and start grabbing the wounded. I worked on a young Afghan soldier who was shot in the leg, and another American who was shot twice to the knee and once in the mouth. Begging for his life, he choked on his own blood, and suffocating from his cut tongue, I struggled with carrying his dead weight. After removing everyone from the area, came the slow, dark progress of getting everyone down the mountain in a way we had never seen before. Halfway down, an impatient Afghan soldier used his white flashlight, giving our entire position away. All of Saw Village across the river opened fire on us. The interpreter clasped my body as he was shot. Another Afghan soldier above me took 2 bullets to the face and was stuck between 2 boulders. Things started to black out as I was reaching heat exhaustion. And right before I did, I heard my first sergeant yelling into the radio, "Broken Arrow." Broken Arrow is an unofficial Vietnam-era term for all air assets to come in the need of a unit on the verge of complete destruction. As I woke up to my body being pelted by brass falling from the sky, I looked above me to what I can only describe as pure sacrifice. A pilot who saw us extremely pinned down brought his helicopter down to gun level so that the enemy bullets could penetrate his aircraft and not us. C-130 Spectre gunships, as well as Apache helicopters, were coming in for as many gun runs as they could. And as I sat up to move down the mountain, I saw a big red ball from a Russian-made B-10 rocket as it slammed into the rock wall I was laying behind. Shrapnel peppered the area, as well as our bodies, as my shoulder was dislocated. I had to have one of my team leaders use the buttstock of his rifle and slam it into my shoulder 5 times to get me back on my feet. With the help of air support, we were able to extract everyone off the mountain that day. Everything I witnessed that day helped to be the foundation of my leadership style, in which I would have to apply over a year later when I would have found myself and my team completely cut off and surrounded. 8 months after coming home, I felt empty and I wanted to go back. So I volunteered to go back to Afghanistan, in which I was a sergeant this time, leading 3 young soldiers into combat. As a major enemy force was pushing into the country, our squad of military police were called to support in Operation Diamond Head. The mission was simple: push into the valley, bring support to the remote villages, and put bad guys in body bags. On the morning of August 4th, 2011, our squad was called to help a cut-off humanitarian aid convoy who left their own Afghan police officers in a kill zone, wounded and bleeding out. Once on scene, we had a village to our right with a small waterway ditch where the Afghan police officer lay bleeding. To the left was a long cornfield right off the side of the road and 2 mountains on each side that looked down onto the battle. Not wanting to put myself in a position of disadvantage, I decided I could not let the Afghan police officer bleed out, as that's not what we do as Americans with other human beings that are in need. As I ran for my 3rd truck under fire to the first, I baseball slid into the ditch and laid next to the police officer who was slowly bleeding out. As I applied a tourniquet to his leg, he was digging with his bare hands and nails for more defilade and was screwing around to try and be one with the earth. To calm him down, I pulled him into my body and I laid on my side as enemy rounds were penetrating the ditch in hopes that if a stray bullet came in, my body armor would take the hit instead of him. Being I was in the situation I did not want to be in, my squad leader, Sergeant Kaz, pulled his vehicle up and extracted 2 hand grenades, which I took as my cue to get out of the ditch. As I got my casualty on his feet, an F-16 came 100 feet off the ground. As I could see the pilot's red helmet, he was flying so low. He banked left, shot straight up, hitting his afterburners to create a show of force. Simultaneously, Sergeant Kaz lobbed both grenades on the other side of the truck into the cornfield. Not understanding why the grenades were detonating so close, as I put my casualty into the first truck, I looked left into the cornfields, which were now swaying back and forth heavily as enemy fighters were running straight at us. My last vivid thought was that the enemy was going to try and overrun our position, but I promise you that wasn't going to happen. Holding on to our position, the machine gun on truck 1 was down, and my friend, Sergeant Lane, stood on top of the 12-foot truck, completely exposed with no armor, manually firing the machine gun against a danger close enemy. I grabbed my sniper rifle and I got on top of the truck with him and fired precision shots into the village as he covered the cornfield. And this went on for some time until I heard Lane yell in pain as a round skimmed his ass cheek. We watched as Sergeant Kaz ran to the fuel truck that was blocking a road. So the 3 of us decided to move it into the ditch and empty the fuel so the Taliban couldn't capture its resources. Standing at the hood, enemy bullets were penetrating the fuel truck, which could have ignited at any minute. Our superiors told us to sustain our casualty and defend our position at all costs until the replacement unit got there in 15 minutes. Sergeant Kaz, Sergeant Lane, and myself decided to cover the weak points of truck 1, which still had a gun down. Lane and Kaz covered the front of the village and I covered the blind spots in the cornfield. I fired over 550 rounds as well as 25 grenades from my launcher until ultimately it disabled my own weapon. The driver of his truck gave me his M249 squad automatic weapon. As I rounded the back of truck 1, it was then I was going to experience the scariest moment of my life. In slow motion, 3 Taliban fighters exited the cornfield no more than 8 feet from me. All 4 of us were shocked to see one another. Time stopped, but the battle raged on outside of our glass bubble. All 3 Taliban fighters, eyes wide open, yelled to one another and started to raise their weapons at me. Using my weapon as a paintbrush, my canvas was their bodies. I aimed at the far right enemy fighter. While holding down the trigger, I traced the muzzle of my weapon to the right as the recoil lifted it to the left. Holding my breath, I watched as the bullets cut the enemy fighters in half. From torsos to head, pink mist blood splattered and the skulls of the enemies concaved as their bodies fell at the base of the cornfield. I retraced my weapon and saw their lit bodies roll off the side of the road. One enemy fighter, however, still alive, laid on the road. As I turned around, I looked at him. We both locked eyes in an intimate moment. 2 men embracing the moment for what it was. We were both fighting for our beliefs and our brothers. It was a pure moment in war with the chaos all around us. We stopped to appreciate those few seconds of soldiering that we had for what it was with each other. As soon as it started, it ended, as his limp body rolled into the cornfield. Now, with our weapons being hot, I needed lube, which is all the way in my truck in truck 3. As I ran back, I climbed through the back hatch to check on my soldiers, who all looked at me with a general concern like they wanted to break some bad news to me. My driver, Garcia, told me that air support can see enemy fighters moving all around us. Apparently, we were completely surrounded, and the 16 of us Americans were cut off by an estimated 100 enemy fighters. As scary as it was, I merely found myself back on that mountain in September of 2009. I remember that stern look my leaders had. They took the situation for what it was, and they tackled the next obstacle. I applied what I had learned as a young soldier so that I could now lead my soldiers in combat. My soldiers who pleaded they wanted to exit the vehicle and help us fight were met with my repetitive denials. In my mind, it was my job to bring those soldiers home alive. Their families trusted me to make the right decision, and in my mind, I refused to put my soldiers in a body bag. My soldiers would put me in one. As the battle raged on, air support would conduct danger close strafing runs into the cornfield. My luck would soon run out as I tried to climb on the top of the truck and provide cover. As I eliminated an enemy fighter in the village, something snapped my head back and to the right as a piece of shrapnel penetrated my face 1 inch below my left eye. My friend, Sergeant Lane, completely concerned for me, pulled it out of my face, put a dip in his mouth, and told me to stop being a bitch. Laying in Lane's lap, looking out the front windshield, I watched as Sergeant Kaz run along the cornfield engaging targets. Simultaneously, he ran out of ammo, and an enemy fighter presented himself no more than 10 feet from him. Unhesitant, he slung his rifle, drew his pistol, and eliminated the threat while running to his truck. It was these stressful yet eventful times that I will cherish the rest of my life. The fact that God has given me the opportunity to still be alive and tell the stories of these amazing fighting American men is something I can never repay. To all the veterans here today, I sincerely thank you for your service and sacrifice. Your excellence is unparalleled and service is invaluable. Your sacrifices will never be forgotten. I share the pride you feel in being able to say you have served in the greatest military in the world. Thank you all for choosing to honor veterans today and show your support to our heroes, past and present. May God bless our veterans. May God bless those serving in harm's way. And may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.